everybody, and welcome back to MLE Esports, brought to you by APM Music. My name is Bass from the past, and joined alongside me today in the booth is the one, the only Foof. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing on this fine afternoon?
What's up, man? I am doing well. I hope you are. We got a couple of good games coming up here, MLE 2, so we get to watch some twos action here. That's not how it works. It just kind of fit out a little bit, Bass. Don't let me confuse you at home now. We saw threes earlier, but got a bunch of twos action coming back to back. So I'm so excited. We got the Pandas and the Shadow coming in. So, you know, it's still week one. These guys have had a couple games underneath their belt, but this is still that beginning to start to feel each other out.
Absolutely. This is when the teams really start to prove what they've got. They start to show all of the power, all of this sort of practice that they've been putting in the offseason, and how they're going to start off. This is going to be an intense battle back and forth here, and I really don't know which way to sway my opinion. But for now, all I'm hoping is some good Rocket League action. But we can guarantee that every single time MLE delivers, and they will never perform anything less than a stellar game. So this Pandas versus Shadow game, this 2v2 action, should be just as stellar as ever. And Foof, I'm excited to get this one underway.
Well, we have ACAT action, so, you know, I should feel right at home. I get to watch these guys, watch the speed, watch the pace, so I'm really excited. I'm going to use this kind of as a cheating scouting look, but no, I'm so excited to call it. We're going to have some fun here, man, and I know you're coming from a little bit of a run there, so hopefully we continue the motion, continue that momentum, so, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. The players are in. I know they're ready, and Bass, like you say, there's 5 minutes on the clock, and we're getting ready to get started.
Indeed, Pandas in the green, Shadow in the gray. This is going to be, I was going to say, some intense action, but apparently the kickoffs are going to be the most intense already. Pandas up 1-0 within 2 seconds.
Well, I mean, there's not much to analyze there. It was just a clean win on the kickoff there by Killer Baird, and all of a sudden it goes in, and 2 seconds. That's it.
A little bit astonished right now to be 100%. It's a very, very odd start, and it's an even odder response here, as now the Shadow have responded with a kickoff goal of their own.
It was just a homie stock, Bass. You know, both teams weren't ready yet, and so they're both saying, all right, we'll handshake on the goals, we'll tie it back up at 0-1-1, and now we're going to get into game one.
Sure. Okay, now we get into game number 1. 5 seconds in, it is back to a tied scoreline. Either team now, and we do have a much more normal kickoff this time. Clay going to pop this one all the way out, where DB3 is going to be waiting. And now all of a sudden, Killer is going to have to try and back them up out to the center one more time. Good passing plays developing already here. We're starting to see a breakdown of pace. This is much more methodical play than the chaos that was erupting when we started this game. So far, neither team really looking in favor. A lot of offensive pressure for the Pandas, but as they go up for that aerial a tad too slowly, it's going to really give up most of that offensive pressure and give a chance now for Clay to take a shot of their own. DB3 going to make the save. Back and forth continues so far here, Foof. Neither team really gaining that much momentum as much as just feeling each other out.
Well, right now they're taking turns in each other's ends right now. The Pandas just happen to hold the ball right now as Clay steals it there. So the Shadow, there's nobody home. Clay's going to walk in and collect it. You caught me talking, Clay. They're up by 1 again.
Back and forth we go already. The Shadow have found their second goal here. They've had 2 uncontested in a row, but we're still within the first minute of this game. I have a feeling this is going to be a very, very active game when it comes to the offense, but we're going to have to see how the defense adjusts. So far, it's not necessarily been lackluster defense, but it definitely hasn't been as tight as it needs to be. And speaking of which, a miss on the backboard is going to open up, and Shadows will take their third.
Well, I mean, I just hate to piggyback off of it, but it's exactly what you said. The defense a little bit not as tight as they need to be, but that angle from Jamona X was absolutely tight, Bass, and it put it near post and takes advantage of that high arcing save attempt.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's just this little bit of differences between the two teams. It's that what you're going to be able to do on defense and how you're going to be able, oh my word, to perform. And, well, unfortunately, the Pandas, they started off with the first goal of this game, but ever since it has been going downhill, multiple goals in a row for the Shadow, and they are up by 3.
Well, there's only been 1 save, and that is the only shot that's been technically missed, so it's an offensive masterclass as far as we're concerned, right, Bass? At least statistically.
Absolutely perfect here. They're absolutely playing to the best of their abilities, but jokes aside right now, we really need to see a turnaround out of the Pandas. As it stands, Foof, we're not really seeing them get in the right positions when it comes to their defense. What can they do to try and make these adjustments? Because it may be a little bit easier to see from here in the booth rather than on the field.
Well, the big thing right now is just they've had a couple opportunities on offense. We talked about them up in the air, but they did not take advantage of it. And then they're just allowing opportunities like Clay gets another one there, and they end up beating whoever's in the goal. They either don't get up fast enough or can't find the right angle like DB3 can't there.
Yeah, this is just somewhat unfortunate to where they're not shutting down these opportunities before they arrive. I really want to see the Pandas play with a little bit more ferocity here. They got to play with a little bit more pressure in their offense as well as their defense, to be honest. I know it may seem scary to try and dive at the ball and really just somewhat abandon your teammate and leave them to themselves, but that's why you've got the partner there. It's so that they can back you up in case something goes wrong. And the Pandas, they're starting to figure out how to click as a two-man duo, but not quite able to do so yet. Another opportunity gone awry. Now Killer needs to make the save and cannot. Again, defense not the priority for the Pandas, and they get punished.
Well, that's both players now on the Shadow wearing a hat, and they are looking absolutely fantastic while doing it, and just caught him just a little bit too far up again there. Bass, this is just deja vu.
A little bit of deja vu here, and I'm going to be honest, I am stealing that phrase. Both of them wearing the hat is the best way I've ever heard to announce someone getting a hat trick. That is absolutely pure class out of you, Foof. Well, I expect nothing less, and to be similarly, I expect nothing less out of the Shadow as they scored their 7th goal, getting the Brazil.
Well, I mean, you get the Brazil, but there's still 3 minutes left.
My.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, you saw that too, right?
No, not until right now did I realize that we're not even halfway through the game at this point. Oh my word, the Pandas, not only do they have to try and slow down the scoring, they've got to, I was going to say, get at least a response, because there's actually time left, Boof, crazy enough as it sounds.
Bass, we're not going to slow down. It is full send ahead. We are just happening to watch an NBA All-Star game. No defense is going to be played today. It doesn't matter. The ball's in front of the net. Just put it in, and whoever has the most goals, we're going to look at like a 15 to 20 game, and MVPR should be crazy.
All right, so early predictions here. What number are we ending total goals scored in this? I'm going to go ahead and say, let's call it 13, lucky number 13 here. Total, we're at 9 right now. We need 4 more to be scored. I think that's doable, right?
13's doable. I want to see like 15 to 17. That's what I want to see. I just want to see guys full send, screw it. You know, 2s. Maybe these guys are playing some 3s and just, where's our third? Wait, no way. DB3, hit the ball. Yes! He got it!
There we go, and we're at number 10. Right now, the casters are not necessarily cheering for either team. We're just cheering for the most goals scored possible. I gotta wonder, I mean, maybe Chad can fill us in on this. What is the record here at MLE for goals scored in a game? Because we're at 10 and we're just about halfway. We're poised to go to 20 right now.
This is insane. We'll try and get that pulled up. Bass! Sometimes people don't score 10 goals in a series, but this is, should have been 11.
And then the first time all game, I'm a little bit dumbfounded right now. I don't know what to say. A huge opportunity on the goal line, but unfortunately they miss an open net, and the scoring will come to a halt, but only momentarily. No, instead it's another missed shot, and for the first time all game, we're starting to see the offense really get pressure, but not find the back of the net. We've wasted about 30 seconds here without a goal, and I say wasted 30 seconds without a goal because normally we would already have another one scored by now.
See, they heard us talking about possibly hitting a record, so they wanted to slow it down, Bass. They're not trying to do it in game 1 as Clay's throwing it down. Jamona can't get there, though. A nice look there for the Shadow. The offense starting to come together, like you say. Not coming to fruition with the goals, but it's because of a little bit tighter defensive on this Panda squad. They're playing a little bit cleaner on the backboard, trying to find some plays here. Jamona able to deny that one. That wasn't really a threatening shot. It was on net, technically, but it was just trying to flip the field and get some room.
A little bit of that. We're starting to see a lot more methodical play develop out of these two teams, but because of that, we're seeing a slowdown in scoring. So I'm very happy to see much cleaner Rocket League and much more developed Rocket League, but man, a little part of me is missing the absolute onslaught of shots we were seeing to start off this game.
Dude, that was no huddle Rocket League, the best way I can say it. I've never seen a game just hit, just, and DB3's gonna score while at it. Bass, they're only down 3.
I know. We mentioned with about 3 minutes remaining that, hey, they can try and bring this one back. They might actually be bringing this one back. 58 seconds remain, and normally I wouldn't say that you can score 3 goals in that little time, but in this game, I think you might be able to.
Well, that'll be the important thing here is Clay. Solid kickoff there, just kind of stalling it, trying to kill this ball. Jamona now trying to find the teammate, putting out the backboard, trying to find the goal there. The Pandas a little bit too overexcited there with a chance to clear it, but could not find it. Baird now with a one-on-one coming into the corner has been a familiar spot for them, but DB3 a little bit too far back to the Shadow, killing it now. About 40 seconds left. Jamona up, trying to find a teammate, can't get it this time. The Pandas with a very good counterattack opportunity. I think that's going to bounce. It bounces in. It's going to continue to go in. You got to be kidding me. You can't get it out.
Oh my word, so close. The save just barely not making its way on the line here. Jamona really does get a nice touch on this one to keep it out, but unfortunately Killer is waiting in the shadows there, no pun intended. And now with 30 seconds remaining in a 2-goal deficit, this is beyond doable. They just need a good kickoff here, and they might be able to. Oh, and they do get one. Killer going to take this one out to the side and try and pop this high. Can't quite do so, and Clay instead is going to take this out to midfield. Huge chance, though, right now, again, with 15 seconds left.
Oh, he left it open!
Oh, no. I was going to say, with the scoreline we've had so far, they might be able to, but instead, it's a missed rotation in the corner, turning the wrong way for just a bit too long, and Jamona will put the nail in the coffin.
Just got baited out a little bit too far there. Bass, you know you hate to see it. That last defender back, they don't want to hold it. They don't want to sit on their haunches. They don't want to get picked on, so they want to come out and make that 50. But then you get baited into the corner, and there is so much free real estate in the nade behind you. And the Shadows have done just a beautiful job of taking advantage of it. And DB3 just going to let this roll, just kind of stop it, I think. Nope, we're trying to keep it in the air. We want one more, Bass.
I'd prefer if they just stop it right now. I was perfectly accurate. Yes, this one will hit the ground.
13!
And 13! Oh, they did that perfectly. Okay, memes aside, now we move on to say the Shadow take the first game of this series in, we'll call it bizarre fashion. I have literally no other words besides that. The Pandas going 5 for 5 on shots. Meanwhile, the Shadow ripping off 16 total shots.
16 to 5. Like, mathematically, it's like, oh, this game shouldn't have been close. The Shadow should have walked away with it, but they were only up 3. And you say up 3, it's a lot of goals in Rocket League, but when both teams score over 5, I feel like it starts to shrink that number more and more. And by the way, Bass, we bow down to our caster overlord who can call the 13 goal in prediction. So beautiful job there.
Oh, my word. Well, I will say this. As much as I'm happy we got the prediction, we did not break the record here at MLE for the most goals in a game, according to I can't speak words. According to chat, as I was about to say. I was going to say inanimate J, but at the same time, I see that chat's sort of going back and forth on this one. It seems like the goal is, or the record is close to 20 goals in this league. But, you know, hey, 13 ain't bad. It's a way to start off a series, and if it's going to tell us anything, this is going to be a high-flying series with a lot of offensive action.
That or the next game is going to be like a 1-0 overtime game that goes 3.5 minutes.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to say I prefer that, but I would love to see a tense back and forth between these two games, or between these two teams. So we're going to have to find out what happens here. Game number 2 underway, and with a 1-0 lead, the Shadow do look poised to continue their streak considering how well they played. But an interesting thing, like we said, it was 7-1 within 2 minutes. The fact that the Pandas only scored Shadow only scored one more goal with the back half of the game, I feel like the Pandas are a little bit poised to try and take this one.
Well, momentum is a very powerful tool, but that goal at the end of it could have gotten it back on the Shadow's side. The Pandas, I want to say in familiar territory, but they're not comfortable back here. They've been on this side a lot so far in this series, and it's only game 2, and Jamona now getting it past Baird, but Baird playing very patient. Some people like to freak out there when the ball's over top of their car, but that soft touch denying here, and the Pandas trying to find a counterattack.
Like the attempt there to try and pinch it on the ground and at least keep that momentum alive, but unfortunately Panda's clumping up a bit too much here. They've got to be careful of these double commits. If they do this too often, eventually shots are going to be able to get popped across court and directly in. We've already seen the Shadow do that once, and we do not want this to become a trend for the Pandas. They need to be careful on defense, and similarly, they need to be aggressive on offense. A huge opportunity there, but Clay will take it out to the corner. The chase down in the corner, and the challenge out of midfield is not going to do them any favors. Oh, but they're not going to get the goal on the other end. Shadow with a huge opportunity, but Jamona can't quite find the back of the net as the pinch from Clay against the backboard was a bit too hard. The Shadow will continue the offense, but Boof, I feel like, oh no, they are squandering a massive opportunity right now.
Well, plain and simple, Bass, this is why you don't give up on a play. Killer Baird could have said, yep, they beat us 2-1. Let's hoping that we'll go next. But staying active and staying in the play and then getting that big-time save on the goal line is Clay's up again, but none other than Baird to clear this one out. Defensively, just playing so much better on this Panda side. But I say it, and it's going to get immediately called in my face.
The caster curse showing its ugly face once again. An unfortunate truth here in the caster world and in the booth is that every once in a while you think you're reading it perfectly, but the players in the field aren't reading it the exact same way. The Pandas going to give up their first goal here, and the Shadow regain the lead. Second game in a row they could possibly take this, and that would really be advantageous to them. As we said it before, the Pandas look like they had the momentum in their favor, so to see the Shadow respond with the first goal of game number 2 is really telling.
Well, it's just going to be up to both of these sides to just kind of grab control of this game. It was firmly in control by the Shadow there. The Pandas tried to wrestle it back game 1, but were not able to finish that comeback. So it's up to them here to set the pace. A nice touch there from Baird, and that'll be a way to do it.
Oh my word, yeah, that's one way to do it. A solo play from out of nowhere. Good dribble to a high pop, and Jamona just stands there without much to do. An early challenge was probably the right idea, but not quite able to, unfortunately, and 1-1 it remains.
Well, it ties it back up. We're back where we started all over again, Bass, but I don't think there's going to be 18 goals scored this time, you know? I don't think there's going to be another 12 goals. But, you know, DB3 is going to find the near post, and the Pandas are up.
Listen, anything is possible. This is Rocket League, and we've got 2:44 left on the clock at this point. DB3 putting in the second goal for the Pandas in a quick response after the Shadow were not quite able to hold on to that lead for long enough, and already we're seeing a lot of shots rip off here in game number 2, but not nearly the same degree as game number 1, but the accuracy has definitely fallen because of it. Pandas at a 50%, the Shadow, meanwhile, at 20% shooting, and it's really starting to show that that offensive aggression we saw in game number 1, oh my word, was really just a flash in the pan as the defense is setting up stronger and stronger. Killer with 4 saves already within the first half of this game.
Killer doing what they have to do on their back end right now, Bass, and it has been incredible as DB3 is going to find a way to stick it in again. 2 goals up because that's a pair of goals scored by them.
Oh my word. All right, so from one end to the field to the other, Killer makes the save, DB3 takes the shot, and that's just the way that it's rolling right now, giving the Pandas a 2-goal lead. We've got 2:15 left on the clock, plenty of time for the Shadow to try and bring this one back, but it definitely looks as if the Pandas have found a winning strategy to the Shadow offense. Defense has definitely been resilient so far, but the minute I say it, the caster curse shows its face once again. Unfortunately, I'm not sure who it was, but whoever was on the backboard there, definitely not the position you wanted to be in.
Bear got caught, you know, looking out at the play, tries to protect the near post, so that's not where that shot was going. It was going across the goal, and they get it back within 1. Both of these teams unable just to firmly hold on to this game right now. Yeah, the Pandas are up by 1, but I have not seen them string it together in this game. It's up to them to slow it down, to find some possession and kill this clock and just walk away with this win here.
Really, that's the biggest thing, is making sure to just take all the time that they have and use it wisely. Oh my word, and also get some demo plays in the meantime, disorient everybody off of Shadows and not allow them an easy shot, but instead they do find one. Not exactly sure what happened on the defense here. DB3 really should have been able to get back to this, but just takes the long route around and can't quite get to the save. An unfortunate event, to put it simply.
Well, I gotta say, this is a beautiful stadium. I love all the lights. I love all the things, but this man took a left turn and went down the wrong alley and got stuck behind a traffic light, I guess, and could not get there to make the save this time. But DB3 has a chance to get a 50 here. Baird, you need to be careful at your own goal. Jamona turning around. The bumps coming through from Clay, but it stays at 3-3. The Shadow now on this attack. They gotta find something. A nice pass midfield, but there's no one there to find it. They are asking, where is our third player? But unfortunately, Shadow, this is still 2s. But Jamona putting it in. That's going to be off the sidebar. Now it's up to DB3. A nice 50 there, and the ball starting to stagnate at midfield.
We're starting to see a much longer offensive stand here for the Shadow. We hadn't seen this in quite some time. Usually we were used to quick goals that just kind of came out of nowhere. Now we're seeing Shadow really play this methodically. They're allowing themselves to go back into their half if it gives them some extra time to keep the pressure up. And it's really working out in their favor. A bit of a double commit there, though, because Jamona in the goal does not allow for Clay to really get back that quickly. They're scrambling into defense, but unfortunately for the Pandas, they don't seem to have the same sort of speed. No contest comes there in the final third, and as a result, the Shadow continue to play comfortably, but they're also rushing at the wrong time. The shot is off target. They need to be careful. If they rush in a odd moment, they could get punished, but similarly,
No more down
on the ring, but not if it's
Clay.
off the bar. Clay has to follow up.
No way, DB3. Go, DB3. Yes!
And it goes the other way. DB3 put the Pandas up by 1 after a series of very unfortunate events to both teams.
Bass, it is tactical. Let's throw it off of their backboard for them to throw it off of our backboard to take it all the way back and go up by 1 with 21 seconds left. It is genius. It is math scientists, and the Pandas are running it right now.
It's too five-headed for any of us in the booth to understand exactly what is going on the field right now. 15 seconds remain. The Pandas looking to try and close out this game with a 1-goal lead and take the victory here in game 2. And oh, wait a minute, they might even get a 2-goal lead. No, off the backboard. And Shadows, they will have one last chance to try and run this the other way, but the bump will take it off the car, and Pandas indeed will win game number 2, tying up the series.
Notching the series back up, an important win here for the Pandas just to kind of come back. It doesn't matter what kind of game you have after a blowout, but if you can get a win where you came back and almost fought back on that really scrappy game 1 and then find a way not only to stay tight in this one, not allow it to get a big score to overcome, and then find that exclamation goal and get that win, that is huge for them. And once again, the Shadow with just an onslaught of shots, but not able to get much from it.
Yeah, that's kind of the biggest difference right now, is that we're seeing similar types of offense out of the Shadow. They're playing just as aggressively as before, but the Pandas, they're stepping up on defense. It's something we really didn't see in game number 1, was defensive prowess out of teams. Now we really are seeing that the Pandas with a total of 7 saves in that game.
6-1.
Literally, 6-1. Literally half the shots did not make it through because of a save directly, and the rest of them, a lot of inaccuracy happening out of the Shadow. So they need to be very careful. The Shadow are getting a lot of offensive pressure, but when it comes time for a really accurate shot and one that's, the nail in the coffin, it's just not really happening. So maybe a little bit more methodical play out of the Shadow on offense can give them the win here, because the Pandas, after taking game 2, look poised possibly, I was going to say, to take game number 3, especially if the same problems are plaguing the Shadow. Another shot off target, Foofin. It's starting to look like the same old for Shadow. They really need to switch this up very quickly.
Well, I want to harken back to what you said in the beginning of game 2. All flash, no substance, because that is what the Shadow have been, but the Pandas have enough substance here, Bass, and they hop out once again with this early lead.
Yeah, indeed, and I think that's the biggest thing, is really trying to overdevelop plays. It's something the Shadows have done where they don't really take advantage of those opportunities that they've been given. Game number 1, we saw Shadow pop it cross-court into the goal when no one was home. Game number 2, we didn't see that, and in game number 3, they're really not apparently taking advantage of that, as they are down by 1 goal already within 30 seconds, but oof, there's plenty of time on the board for adjustments to be made, but oh my word, not if they keep getting pressed into their defense. Shadow, one more time, have to be careful here, as here comes Pandas on attack yet again.
Well, right now, the Pandas finally just exerting their will. You wondered at what point would they step up and just take control of this midfield, because the ball bounces around. Same for the Shadow, really. They've had opportunities both ways, but no one has said, I want to be controlling this midfield. I want to allow the pressure to come to a point and then stop. We're going to make them rotate how we want. But the ball continues to float around here. DB3 past 1. DB3 past another one. The soft touch here, putting it far post, and a great save from Jamona. You gotta be kidding me. The X is for excellence on that goal line.
That's a phenomenal save, and finally we're starting to see the Shadow play with a little bit more defensive prowess. They're very aware that the defense has been their weakest link, and they now need to try and fix that. They're doing well so far here, but similarly, the Pandas are giving them a lot of relief of pressure they don't need to. I feel like the Pandas are getting into offense, and they get scared by the defense that is developing out of the Shadows, and they kind of just entirely retreat and give up on the play. You got to keep that offensive pressure up. If you give up on offenses that quickly, you're never going to be able to develop them once the defense starts to stand tall. And, well, that's the difference here. The Shadow, they don't get the first one to go through, but when they come back around from the other corner, they score within instants.
Lurking around both sides of the corner in the shadows of the goal. They pop out when necessary, Bass. Left to right, it doesn't matter. Right to left, they'll put it in, and they tie this game back up with just under 3:20 left.
The question now is that we've seen the necessary adjustments out of the Shadow. I really do think Shadow are playing, oh my word, extremely well. They're doing 2 things, we said. A, developing plays, and B, there's the open nets we were saying that they needed to hit. And, well, Pandas, they're down by 1 here. I was going to say, Pandas are looking a little bit worse for wear, but part of it is Shadow. They've made every necessary adjustment.
They are doing what they have to do, and Bass, they are finding a way. Sometimes that's the most important thing in a series like this, and the Pandas a little bit too overzealous there, forgetting the ball in their own end. Clay now throwing it midfield, but the only one there is Baird. Baird getting bullied as Jamona just trying to stall it here. DB3 with a nice touch there, one-on-one opportunity. You need to flick it off of this Finnick, but he loses control, and it goes a little bit too far wayward.
Good good attempt, and now a demo on the back end is going to open up some space, but another demo in response is not going to allow the offense to come to fruition here. They will get another chance, though. Pandas up high with this one. Killer fakes out the first, and the save from Clay will keep it out for now. I thought it would only be for a moment, but DB3 puts it off the bar. A wide open net, but the shot is not accurate, and the Pandas will have to go back to the drawing board once again. Good midfield presence, but Foof, that is a huge opportunity gone awry.
All right, Bass, I got to ask you a question. What feels worse? Missing just an open net or missing a goal where it's set up and you're the one who gets to take the shot? Like that opportunity there. Which one do you personally like to see less, I guess?
I'm going to put it this way. Open nets are the hardest shot in Rocket League to hit. Bar none, they're the hardest shot to hit because it's so much pressure on you. When you have a teammate that sets up a goal so perfectly like that, it just feels all the worst because, oh my word, you know that it was a golden opportunity, and a golden opportunity will not go awry for a second time in a row. A bump like that from DB3 clears out the net, and this time Killer will punish.
For those of you at home, I don't know if you caught it, Bass was literally describing a play as the play broke out in front of him, and then the open net parts like the Red Sea, and this man put it in. Well done. Good job, Bass. Go on.
Yes, I'm the reason that play developed entirely on me at this point. Jokes aside, at this point, the Pandas are starting to look like they've got some reinvigorated life here, Foof, but they're not quite done yet. With about 90 seconds left on the clock, there's still a chance for the Shadow to have a response, and I feel like the Shadow have been kind of asleep right now. They got into a comfortable lead and then decided, well, that comfortable enough lead is going to allow us to play defensively. They've been a little bit hesitant since. I want to see some more aggression out of them if they want to try and finish this one in regulation.
No way. Okay, thank you, Clay. That near post play was looking deadly for Baird. I was wondering if he was going to be able to find that near post, but not able to get it past the last defender. The Shadow just kind of bending but not breaking right now, just protecting this tie. Clay is up, looking for a teammate here. Jamona going to have to run back to it. No, a little bit too overzealous there. The Pandas have a chance. DB3 playing passion at midfield, bouncing around. He's got to beat Clay here. A nice touch there as Clay runs back to his corner, trying to play safe here, but DB3 wins. So Baird now trying to put it on a little bit too far off the backwards. You got to be careful here, Pandas. Don't be caught too far up. As Jamona now, no, not enough of a touch. An open net opportunity turned away again.
Huge opportunity, but it's not going to be the end already. Clay's got a good 50-50 in front of the net, but it's not going to be a follow-up as I believe Jamona was a bit too far pushed up. Again, the rotations right now are not terrible, but they are not looking as clean as they need to be. I feel like passing plays and two-man developed plays are not really showing themselves as much. We're not really seeing this foresight into what they want to do here as much as just kind of touch the ball and hope that maybe you get a play out of it. 50-50 is definitely being pretty advantageous so far. If you can win a 50 outright, you can most likely develop a play for your team, and you can developing plays for your team. Shadow might just have the last one of the game as there's a miss out in the corner, and Jamona can center it. Clay is up for this one. DB3 does get in the way, though, but Jamona will not get the follow-up. Killer going to spike that one down, and overtime we go here in game number 3.
I just had that feeling that the Pandas were lulled into that false sense of security. Clay, though, has a chance on the kickoff. Killer can't get it out, and that's how they'll take it. The overtime snatcher 6 seconds in.
Yeah, this is, I'm going to put it simply, this is just unfortunate for the Pandas. The kickoff not going in their favor, not able to get enough of a touch there, and Shadow will take advantage of it, winning game number 3, putting themselves up 2-1 on the series. Really is one of these things where I feel like the Pandas had the ability to close out that series in multiple different instances, but we're not quite able to do so. And man, what a difference in the scoreline here between the games we've seen previously. We had mentioned the Pandas as a defensive masterclass. Now not a single save to their name here in game number 3. And the Shadow with 4 to their name and even less shots to boot.
Well, both teams had left shots, and finally the shot discrepancy is a lot smaller, 6-8, but the Pandas not able to capitalize on those 8 shots because of the 4 big saves that you talk about from the Shadow. So Clay and Jamona with 2 very big-time stops, and in the act, in those moments, Bass, you think one save might not be the biggest deal, but in a game like this where everything came down to can you capitalize on those mistakes, the Shadow just made fewer and took advantage of more.
Yeah, it really is. It's an important thing to recognize at every single level of Rocket League, from Bronze up to RLCS. If you are not taking advantage of your opponent's mistakes, you are not going to win the game. It is as simple as that. Being able to take advantage of when your opponent makes a missed touch, makes a missed rotation, leaves an open net, it's one of the most important things, because it just sort of shows that, hey, you slip up for a moment, we are going to be there. We are not going to let you get away with those easy mistakes. And I think that this is something both teams really need to take note of. It's not necessarily something that has been detrimental to this game so far, but I really do think the first team to start recognizing that there's some vulnerability out of the other team and taking advantage of that is going to be the one to win the series.
See, Bass, I just wish I was on one of these squads so I could watch the film with them. Because everyone wants to watch game one. I mean, we had the scoring Palooza game one. Everyone wants to watch those highlights and have a good time. And then you get the rest of these, and it's kind of like, okay, maybe we did good here, but didn't do good here. So a lot of things that both of these teams can clean up, but a lot of good things so far. As DB3 has a chance, but Jamona, another big save there. You got to be kidding me. The Shadows just turn this defensive on. It's a light switch at this point.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, is that when they want to play defense, they play defense phenomenally, and I'm liking the methodical, slower-paced play we're seeing out of Shadow right now. They know that they have a bit of an advantage against the Pandas when it comes to the trait of just how fast they move around the field, so they're making sure that they don't have to rush everything and allowing the Pandas to rush into inopportune challenges. As you can see, DB3 is now back in the backfield by themselves because their teammate had rushed so aggressively, and as a result, an open net will arrive. Jamona going to cut off the rotating back killer, and this was just heads up all around.
It was just a great play. You talk about trying to find those developing plays. Well, the Shadows saw a 2-on-1, and sometimes the best thing you can do in a 2-on-1 is forget the ball. Trust your teammate to take that shot and just go take out that one player. Find a way to take that advantage, and the Shadow do just that, and they're up by one here as Baird flips the field. A 2-on-1 opportunity rising for the Pandas, but no, Baird gives up on the play, so it just kind of stalls here.
Really awkward play all around, and as a result, Killer is going to find the shot. I'm not exactly sure what just happened, but I'll tell you what, the shot afterwards was picture perfect.
I wish we could have like a little bit further of a view riding with Baird. I think he went back to boost, came back around and said, oh, we still have the ball. And then the ball just sitting there perfectly dished up. And it's like, not calculated. We knew we had time.
I wonder if part of what's going on right now, are they listening to us in the booth? Because it seems like we make an adjustment, we mention an adjustment they need to make, and then they focus entirely on that play style. Well, I'll give you another piece of advice right now. You can't miss open nets like that. A huge opportunity gone awry again for the Pandas as they have an open net and a chance to give themselves the lead. And now all of a sudden the Shadow have got a chance as no one is home. What happened to DB3 here?
He got caught too far up and then just kind of got confused, I think, trying to play with the other Pandas player, but then realizes they lost control just a hair too late, and Clay winning that big 50 there and staying with the ball.
It's a great play all around, really advantageous out of the Shadow, but unfortunately for the Pandas, it's a little bit of an opportunity that should have never really arrived. They absolutely had a chance to try and cut that one down, but they will at least be able to get another offensive. Oh, I thought they'd get an offensive opportunity. Good clear. Instead, an incredible clear indeed, and now Jamona has a chance to 50-50 in front of the net. DB3 has to sit there in the corner and just kind of wait to see what happens with Killer, and they are indeed going to make a decent clear, but not far enough that it gets out of the hands of Jamona, but no follow-up from Clay. A lot of alleviated pressure here, and I understand what the Shadow are doing where they're trying to play a little bit more reserved, but we had this issue happen once before. They get the lead, and then they start to play too defensive and alleviate way too much pressure on offense.
Well, that's not alleviating pressure. They're trying to find shots here, Bass, at midfield, but you're right. You want to see the Shadow team, now that they're up, just stop playing to not lose, but play to win. Find a way to extend this lead one more time, maybe, as Baird gets past one. Has to be another here. Got it on top of the Octane. That soft touch carrying it all the way home. You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, my word. All right, well, this is one of the biggest things. We got one more piece of advice for you guys in the Shadow right now. Do not give time and space to your opponent. If you let them get that type of space, oh, my word, will they dribble directly over you. Filthy plays in the air there as Killer puts in the second goal to tie up this game. I'm going to be honest, there is no way I expected a shot like that to develop, and really just well played to the Pandas as they take their third goal of the game.
Well, you say well played. You look like Jordan. You set the tape down on the free throw line and just never stopped flying until it went in. But DB3 collecting it off of the mistouch on that goal. And then the demo coming through. The Pandas are out in force. They have found a way to strike. They hit back to back here, Bass, and take the lead with just over halftime.
Oh, and they might just get another one here. The kickoff goes a bit awry, and Clay is back into their own half in an awkward position. Good flip into the ball off the wall, though, and will allow for a 50-50 that alleviates a lot of pressure. But again, look at how hesitant everyone from Shadow are here, Boof. This is not really doing them any favors. They got that early lead, and since then, they've been playing very reserved. Normally, I would say this is a good idea, but it really only is a good idea if you've got maybe a minute left and you're up by a couple of goals. To do the exact same strategy, but with 2 minutes and down by 1, I don't think it's doing them any favors right now.
Well, it's important to find that switching gears and getting back to the offensive-oriented play style. A big demo there, but Clay can't get there in time. The ball bounces too far to the left. Bear, just kind of the thankful recipient of that 50 points with a save, has one to beat. Under 1, Clay caught being a little bit too aggressive. DB3 collects it, and they're up by 2.
Yep, and that is exactly why we mentioned this hesitant playstyle can become an issue. It's an obvious challenge there, and then they knew that Clay would have to rush it afterwards after the first challenge did not work out. Miller is starting to read their opponents, and that predictability is allowing for a bit of an advantage out of Shadow. Right now, the Pandas have got to be, or excuse me, I had that reversed. The Pandas have the advantage. Shadow need to be very careful here. This game has been so much chaos. I'm trying to keep up with everything on the pitch because it is too much high-flying action, and it is too much for me to be able to hold my word. I was going to say process here, as it really is going back and forth and back and forth. Yes, it seems like the Pandas have the lead right now, but that could only be momentary. As I said, the Shadows now have a response, and this series continues to dazzle.
Clay does a wonderful job of just seeing that open near post and then deciding, I have enough of angle, I have enough of a boost, I want to take this shot, and then pass, they bury it, getting the Shadow back within 1, and they're trying to put it away here.
They're trying to do exactly that, but with 80 seconds left here, there is absolutely a chance for a response out of either team. Pandas can try and increase their lead. Similarly, the Shadow, though, now that they're back on offense, I was going to say could try and run with this one, but Clay dives in very late for that one, and now Jamona by themselves in the back half have to be very careful here, but instead Clay bails them out. A last-second save as they dive out of the net will keep the dream alive, and the Shadow will go back into offense one more time.
Well, you say that, but they both backed off. They just didn't have the boost. They didn't have the beans, as one might say. Unable to get there. Now Jamona looking for Clay. Clay slowing down to get this touch here. Him and Baird have a one-on-one opportunity. Oh, you're a little bit too over-aggressive. Slow down and be patient there, Fend. Oh, a quick opportunity turns into a 2v2. The Pandas able to reset here. Clay out to midfield looking for Jamona. Jamona has some control. Past 1, can't get past 2. Clay the last one there. That last bastion of defense for the Shadows as Jamona runs back.
Huge opportunity, though, for the Shadow as they are starting to develop some greater plays here. The midfield presence, something we had not seen all day today, but similarly, we're also still seeing the same thing out of the Shadow. They are, oh no, I was going to say, all right, they do score it. I was going to say they're playing a bit too hesitantly, but this time Jamona has the speed, has the positioning to be there, recognizes this shot is not on target, and rushes without a second thought.
Killer got caught. I hate to say it, got caught just a little bit too aggressive there, Fast. You got to stay at that back post a little bit further, but was respecting the double tap. It's just so hard to read sometimes in this Academy League. Sometimes they fall in, sometimes they don't. DB3 got tricked by his own teammate there, but he's going to find a way in. You've got to be kidding me. A beautiful display of patience, calculus, and just, I don't know how you do that.
You flick it over your opponent with absolute precision. Top left corner, upper 90 to put it through. And as soon as the Shadow bring themselves back into this game, the Pandas say, no, 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 you will not. We will keep this lead alive, but it may only be momentary. Shadow now have a chance on the other end, but it's too far over. An attempt at a redirect goes a bit awry. Clay tries to keep this one up, and I'd actually just be able to. No, instead, DB3 going to whack this one all the way to the other side of the field. And it's not going to touch the ground. It hits the corner. There's a chance here, Foof. Do you believe? Oh, well, I was going to say in miracles, and I mean, normally I do. This time, unfortunately not so. Pandas take a 2-1 lead on the series here. Or excuse me, tie up the series at 2-2. And Shadow, I mean, I don't want to say that was their game to win, but they had the last goal, or should have had the last goal.
Comes down to it. Tie ball game, Bass. It comes down to who wants to find that consistency, who wants to walk away getting this dub, Bass. Either of these teams can do it. It's just who steps on defense, who finds a way to not allow those heavy challenges, and who can win at the midfield line.
I can't tell you who it's going to be right now, to be honest. 100%. This has just been going so back and forth that my brain is scrambling to try and figure out which team really has the advantage. But this is about as even as it gets. Game number 1 was all over the place in offense, and as the defense has developed further and further, which it thoroughly has, we're starting to see these teams really even out to where you need to have a stellar goal to break through. Many examples in that game, whether the flicks, the air dribbles, or just the passing plays. If you're not able to break through the defense, you're not getting a goal. It is plain and simple as that.
Well, I just want to see someone take control of midfield and be able to hold it for more than 30 to 40 seconds, Bass, because we see these teams start to get to that 25, 30-second mark, and then it breaks down. Either they give up a goal or they get a goal, and then it's just gone. So can you find a way to dominate at midfield, dominate in boost control, and just control the pace of the game and play your own Rocket League? That's what I want to see these guys do in Game 5.
We're going to have to see whether or not they can do exactly that. 5 minutes on the clock. Game number 5 underway. Looks like the Shadow might be the first ones on offense, but Killer going to make a save, but cannot make the follow-up. A great defensive stand already here from Killer, and it really is a phenomenal save. But the unfortunate truth is, saves are one thing, clears are a whole different ballgame.
Well, Bass, you said it was a great defensive stand. It was a better offensive possession by the Shadow. They find the way on the kickoffs. Kickoffs they had a really good showing in Game 1 and then just have kind of just pittered out. Game 5, they rear their head again. They say, no, don't forget about us. It's a set play. The Shadow are pretty dang good at it.
Shadow are doing pretty well already here, and they're looking like they might just be able to wrap this one up, but getting a bit ahead of myself. Killer's got a good solo play here in midfield, but not quite able to get it past the last defender. No follow-up will arrive out of DB3. They're playing, I'm not going to say hesitantly, but oh my word, they're definitely playing much more defensively, and normally I would say it's a good idea, but when you're down by, I was going to say when you're down by 1 goal, it doesn't matter. Not unless you can get a cross-court shot because the defender is too far pushed up. Clay out at midfield here, and this was just not the right positioning.
I mean, it was for DB3, but not for the Shadow. No, not at all, but they take advantage of it. That is something you've seen both of these teams do well, is take advantage of miscues, and there have been a couple of miscues for both of these teams. No way. Another kickoff goal, but it's divided by DB3. Jamona trying to sneak this past. Now a one-on-one opportunity for DB3. Low boost here, losing some control, but the ball's still going towards the net. If he got another touch, I think he could have snuck that there.
Quite able to do so, though, and we remain at a 1-1 scoreline, but the Pandas really pressing the issue right now. A lot of good offensive pressure, the midfield presence that we were hoping for, Foof, and I really think that they're starting to get this down. Killer gonna die for this one, though, a little bit too late. I like the idea, but they need to be careful there. If you are gonna challenge at midfield, you need to do it very early. If you hesitate for a second, the other team will pop it around you, and as a result, that is what is happening right here, right now. The Shadow trying to control midfield. I was going to say, I think Clay should have been able to turn around on that one. Because of the interruption out of Jamona, there's an opportunity here for the Pandas to respond. Off the sidewall, I thought a play would develop, but a little bit of bumping, and all of a sudden the Shadow instead will rip a shot on target, but the save will not be enough. Killer again, great saves on the line, but the truth is they don't matter if you can't clear it, and the rotations are just not there. With the one-man army on the back wall, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to goals like this on repeat.
Well, Bass, you missed it. There was a courtship dance attempt on the sidewall there, but it was turned away by a display of dominance from the Shadow as they realized they had an opportunity. And this is not a BBC documentary. We can't have those. So the Shadow hop out back by 1 with just 3 minutes left. The Pandas trying to find each other here. A little bit overzealous. You're kidding me. That's going to work. DB3 just spinning around, says, screw it. Let's get this ball some way on this Fennec, and it's going to go in.
I can't believe that made its way in, and I can't believe it made its way in off of a shot like that. DB3 going to find the back of the net, and I don't know what to say at this point. This is incredible what goals we're seeing pulled off at this level.
It just kind of seems like they're just making it up at this point, throwing darts at a spinning target. Sideways, upside down in the got it, done. We'll hit that one next. And now Killer Bear, the last one here, getting dunked on Clay. That bar needs to be checked. I don't know if that was regulation. That looked disgusting. I thought that was bouncing out.
I just speed out of Clay here. This is something we've been hoping for. We've been waiting for people to just absolutely dive in and really rush their opponents at the right time. And bingo, that is exactly where you want to be rushing your opponents. Clay getting in at the right moment and giving their team a 1-goal lead. 3 minutes remain, though. At this point, there really is time for either one of these teams to try and not only bring this one back as well as increase the lead. We could see this momentum shift in 3 different ways in the next 10 seconds, and it just might shift further in favor of the Shadow, though. They've got another offense together here. Killer, though, has free space on the wall here. Play decides not to challenge early, and as a result, the Pandas can develop a greater play here, but unfortunately the pinch goes all the way out, and they will squander an opportunity. But Boop, we're starting to see the same thing from the Shadow here. They need to be careful. If they become too defensive, they're going to alleviate way too much pressure.
I feel like it's like a pendulum, Bass. We're either too defensive or too offensive. We're never in this middle zone. That's too aggressive. Barrett's going to put it in and tie this game up. I can't call it as it happens.
I have no idea what I mean, like, I understand what's going on, but my brain can't quite process it at the speed it seems. Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth we go. 2 minutes and 11 seconds remain here. We've got plenty of time for either team to try and pull this one out, and I still can't determine who it's going to be. The momentum has been going back and forth with no favor really being shown. Now is a huge opportunity. The Pandas have a 2-on-1, but they rip off a shot extremely early. DB3 kind of just gives away the ball, and as a result, they're going to have to try and restart this offense once again. Killer does get the touch out of midfield, which will allow for a bit of pressure, but DB3, again, not in the right position. We're seeing some weird rotations, and I have a feeling a lot of it's nerves, but this is not the time to get nervous.
Oh, no.
You need to play absolutely perfectly, and no one in net is not doing that. Jamona will take advantage, as there were 2 Pandas players around, but apparently neither one of them decided that was their save.
They both went to boost over ball. It was so strange to watch. They both turned away, as I don't know if there was a lapse in comms or something, but just Jamona in the air. There's no one there. It's just too clean.
It's very, very well done here for Jamona and for Shadow, but unfortunately for the Pandas, they can't really afford to have missed rotations like that. This is crunch time. This is when it counts the most, and it is at 90 seconds left on the clock. A 1-goal lead is not enough to definitively say, this is going in their favor. And Jamona makes a phenomenal save, though. It looks like it will continue to stay in their favor. DB3 rushes early, and as a result, the Pandas will have to restart their offense from midfield once again, but you definitely want Killer in that position. They're a lethal striker and have shown it before. Similarly, you still need DB3 in the right rotations. I'm getting a bit worried. This is on repeat. It's becoming an issue where we're getting huge opportunities set up by Killer, but DB3 is just not right in the right position. The comms need to be a little bit more fluid here because they're running out of time to keep mistaking said mistakes.
Well, I don't think Pandas are pack hunters, but it's not going to matter if Jamona's just going to keep doing things like this, coming off the sidewall. Just have yourself a game in the corner, DB3. It does not matter where you put that ball because it's going in your net.
Well, I'm going to be honest, I can't criticize DB3 for not being in the right position there. That is absolutely the right position. You did everything you could to try and save that ball, but unfortunately the dunk mid-air will find its way into the back of the net. And with 40 seconds left, I'm not going to say this is definitively in favor of the Shadow, but the Pandas have got to pull out all the stops if they want a shot here.
Well, it's going to be very, very important for them. I think that 20-second mark is the hard moment. If you don't have a goal down within 1, if you're still down 2 at 20 seconds, that's where it gets almost impossible here. And we're getting ready to hit that point, so the Pandas have to find something quickly.
They're going to have an opportunity here. DB3 throws this one to the ceiling, but unfortunately Clay gets in the way. And like you said, they are just straight up running out of time. If they have a couple of seconds left on the clock, they might be able to get one off a kickoff, but it is looking very, very bleak here. If DB3, and they do not, I was going to say, does not score this, that is the end. And indeed, it will be. The Shadow will hold on, take game number 5, and take the series 3-2. This was about as intense as it could have been, Foo. This is the back and forth we were hoping for, even if it wasn't in the necessarily expected fashion.
Well, it was certainly back and forth. I mean, the ball definitely did go up and down the field a lot, so that was really fun to watch. But, you know, yeah, a back and forth series, all these guys came and played out so well. Just the Shadow outlasted the Pandas. I'm just plain and simple. The Pandas were able to find a way to keep it close, but they could not finish in this game 5, and the Shadows started clicking. They started going. They kept going, and they found a way just to finish better than the Pandas.
I think one of the biggest things there was the lack of hesitancy we were starting to see out of the Shadow. In many other games, we had been critical because of the fact that they got too defensive. They started to get a little bit more reserved as they started to find their momentum because they were so fearful of letting in a goal against their opponents. that last game, there was no fear. There was all confidence. There was all, hey, we've got to win this right here,
Full
right now.
send.
And they played, yeah, exactly. Perfectly put. The full send was what they needed, and the full send is what the Pandas got, and the Pandas were not prepared for it. GG's well played to the Pandas. They played a phenomenal game as well, but at the end of the day, there is one winner, and that winner is Shadow. A phenomenal performance to open up the back half of the night with you and I, Foof.
Well, 3-2 is how you could possibly want to open up a week 1 series for us, but a 3-2 win is a very good thing for both of these squads. They can beat each other. They've shown a lot of good things, not only on the tape, but on the stream as well. So they have a lot of good things to come back on. And so doing that, you will find the positives and be able to fix the negatives. And it's still week 1. You have a ton of time, and we have some more Sunday Night Rocket League coming up, if I believe correctly.
Indeed, we do. We are not quite done yet. When we return, we will have even more Rocket League action here on the MLE Esports 2 channel. We do not want you guys to go anywhere, so please just wait a couple of moments, and when we come back from break, we will be back with even more Rocket League. So stay tuned. We will see you guys in just a couple of moments.